Hello everyone, in today's video we're going to be showing you how to take off and land in a crosswind. For those of you who've been playing the career in this game all along, you've probably encountered a couple crosswinds, and now we're going to take a look at kind of the two different techniques for doing it, and I'll kind of throw my own real-world experience with it. Let's get started. So first things first, I notice we don't have a crosswind. Let's fix that. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my mode here, and we're going to give ourselves a nice healthy crosswind here. It's cute. It's cute. It's not really substantial though. Let's see here. Our runway today is runway 20. So let's see here. A nice nasty crosswind. So that'd be 20 right there. That would give me a nice cross. Oh, and let's go ahead and crank that up a little bit. Oh yeah. Let's talk about it. 45 knot crosswind. I like that. Let's go ahead and adjust it so it's a true crosswind. I'll let go of that. Pull from the west. I can hear the engine like RPM changing. There we go. That's better. 45 knot gusting crosswind. That looks pretty nasty. Now, one of the interesting things about aircraft is they're rated at a specific crosswind. Now, when they test them, they're basically designed to have a good amount of authority of the rudder and the controls and the ailerons up to a specific speed. Now, the reason I really like that is the fact that those speeds are typically pretty low. Like, for example, on a Cessna 172, your max demonstrated crosswind speed is 15 knots. Now, I fly in the real world, and I've flown a Cessna 182, which is a little bit bigger, which also is 15 knots, by the way, in a 29-knot crosswind, and I'm still here to talk about it. That being said, the tires did have a bit of a smell to them afterwards. Welcome to the fun. So when we take off from crosswinds here, we are well exceeding our maximum set. As a matter of fact, the safer thing to almost do in this situation would be to land this way and basically do a minimum distance landing. We could probably do that more safely than trying to do it, but we're going to do it anyway. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my controls. I'm going to start by taking my ailerons and jamming my ailerons to the right. Second thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try to reduce the amount of lift that this aircraft produces. And of course, I normally would take off 2 clicks of flaps here. I'm going to take off a single click of flaps. So what we're going to do is if I release my parking brake, you will notice the aircraft has a tendency to roll into the wind. That's the weather vane effect is what it's called. If you're in a helicopter, this would be pretty absurd. So I'm going to hold that there. I'm going to go ahead and push the controls ever so slightly forward to keep the front wheel grounded. So I'm going to try to get in the air quickly here. Now, the interesting thing is as we start to accelerate, I need to keep pressure on the front wheel. Otherwise, the front wheel will not do anything. There we go. There's the pull. There's the pull. Easy. Left foot, right aileron. And let's get going. Delightful. Woohoo! Oh, that's a wind. I like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to get right up to our VX here. I'm going to press my 15 degrees, pop everything up here, and we're going to enjoy the bumps because we're going to be getting a lot of them. Now, the fun thing is I actually look straight down here. You can see quite amusingly, this aircraft is not remotely traveling in a straight line. It's actually pretty terrifying. You can see just how bad this is. But hey, welcome to Flight Sim. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to come around and get ourselves set up for a pretty rough-looking traffic pattern. I don't expect this traffic pattern to look anything smooth or anything along those lines, but I'll get us all lined up back for the runway here. My goodness. Maybe this was a bad idea. So what I have here is I'm on my left downwind here, and I'm pointing at the runway, even though I'm getting blasted off course here. We're a little above traffic pattern altitude, but that's okay. So the two basic ways to do crosswind landing. So the first one, actually 3. The third way, of course, is don't land there, land somewhere else. Of course, the two methods are what they call crab and what they call wing low. These two methods are very good. They work well. I find in training, crab is a little bit more intuitive because it looks right. You'll know what I mean. But I find as a professional pilot, or I'm not a professional, what am I saying here? As a practicing pilot, how's that sound? I prefer wing low because it's just easier. So let's get all lined up with that runway. There we are. That's a little better. So the crab method, of course, so what we're going to do is we're going to put the aircraft itself in a position so that we're aligned with the runway on the ground, but not in the nose. So for example, I notice my wing is, if I point this way roughly, the aircraft is going to be heading towards the end of the runway. If I swing a little bit to the left here, I can see that it starts to move back to that direction. So the game here is basically keeping it in the same spot on your windscreen, not necessarily pointing the plane at it. Now, the crab method has some huge advantages. A lot of people like it because you're not doing cross-controlled or anything like that. It also has some really big disadvantages. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to bring in half of my maximum available flaps. If I try to land this with full flaps, I will never be able to control this airplane. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to slow down a little bit. We don't want to come in too slow. If we come in too slow, the problem becomes that it becomes you're unable to control the plane. So now what we're going to do is we're going to transition from this crab angle to the landing angle at the last possible spot while putting our right tire down. So it's going to be left foot to align the nose, right aileron for the purposes of getting it down on the runway. Then we're going to align. Ready? Here we go. So left foot, and you're going to go ahead and transition with the right wing, and we're just going to go ahead and plant it just like this. Oh, that's all right. Very nice. Now we're going to hold right aileron to keep ourselves grounded. Right aileron, right aileron, right aileron, right aileron. And just gently, gently slow down. Now, as you heard and as you witnessed a few seconds ago, that was not the world's smoothest landing. That was actually pretty firm is the term that I would use. And that is one of the huge downsides of using the crab technique is it's very difficult at the last second to transition to the point where you're going to be able to safely get it down on the ground. That's where a lot of accidents happen too because they're a little too slow. You can see, by the way, we made it. It wasn't pleasant, but we made it. So let's go ahead and get back on that approach and let's use the wing low method. All right, let's do it. So this method is a little different, and this is what I consider to be the easier of the two methods. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to push my left foot forward, and I'm going to take my right wing, and I'm going to tip it downwards. Now what you'll observe here is by adjusting the angle of the aileron, my basically right or left here, I'm adjusting how everything looks with the sight picture. By adjusting my feet, I'm basically keeping me aligned with the end of the runway. So again, feet for alignment on the runway, aileron for position left-right. You can see how we're getting bounced around pretty hard here. Basically running out of rudder. I still have a little tiny bit of rudder. Again, if you keep your speed up, it'll be a little bit easier. That's okay, though. All right, just let it do its thing. Let it do its thing. Remember, we're only using 2 clicks of flaps here. Again, right aileron down. Just let it do its thing. Just let it do its thing. Let it do its thing. Right wing. Again, we're going to try to do the same thing. Here we go. We're down. Right aileron. Ground the aileron. Not hard on the brakes. Not hard on the brakes. Not hard on the brakes. And you can see we're back down to the ground. So the two techniques, of course, are to show you kind of the differences between the two. Well, of course, the crab method, basically we have to do all the magic at the last possible second there. Whoa, timber! Whoa, I could do a wheel stand. Now, that's pretty impressive wind there. So, of course, the wind is shifted, so we want to hold left aileron here. So as you can see, the crab method gives you the advantage where basically you don't have to do anything until the end. But at the end, it's very, very difficult to get it all lined up properly. You'll also notice when we did the wing low method that we had that kind of everything pretty stable minus the last 10 feet where the turbulence was at its absolute worst there. And we were able to very safely get the plane down on the ground. You'll also observe both landings were very, very firm. Now, if I did this 1,000 more times, I think I can maybe get a little less firm. It's just to give you an idea of how challenging. In the real world, just find somewhere else to land. This is too dangerous. Enjoy.